guys, it's Boki here with Gigi's Fabric Shop and home to Janome Junkies. And today's video is going to be on the Janome Skyline S9, and I'm going to be telling you guys how to set this machine up for embroidery. There's a couple steps that are very, very important and crucial to make sure you're setting yourself up for success in the embroidery side of the Skyline 9. So let's get into it. To convert the machine from when you're regularly sewing onto the embroidery side of the machine is you're obviously going to need your embroidery unit. We're going to talk about how to install this properly. All right. You're going to need an embroidery hoop. So remember, you get 3 different sizes with this machine. So make sure you're selecting the one that you'll need, or you'll probably figure this out later down the line, but you will need an embroidery hoop, of course. All right. We're going to need our straight stitch plate. If you are not familiar with the different plates and how to tell them apart, you can look right here. All right, you'll see 3 little individual holes. That's how you'll know this is your straight stitch plate versus the other one where I call it the jelly bean plate. It's a nice little like bean shape that's completely open. We want this one. We want this straight stitch plate when we're doing free motion, or I'm sorry, when we're doing embroidery. So you're gonna need this one, all right? And you're gonna need your yellow dot bobbin case. You get 2 bobbin cases with this machine. The red dot, which is used for regular sewing, that tension is set for a 50-50 ratio, meaning that the top tension is on the top, the bottom tension is on the bottom, and they're not intermingling with one another. With embroidery, you want to use the yellow dot bobbin case because this sets the machine to a embroidery tension where it's not really 50-50. It's more like 70-30. There's way more top thread than bottom thread, so you want to make sure you're using this to get a successful embroidery stitch out. All right, and we're gonna need our screwdriver, our little T-screw here, all right, because we're gonna be changing out that foot. And the foot that you're gonna wanna use is the P foot. So this is the embroidery foot that you're gonna use to do all your embroidery. So that's what we're gonna need. Let's go ahead and start by turning the machine off really quick, and we're gonna change out our plates. Put on the proper plate and the proper bobbin case, and we're gonna go ahead and change our foot out as well since we're gonna be in this area anyways. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually snap off this foot so that way I have a nice easy way to take off the plate. Right here, when you move off the cover, seeing your free arm, you'll see the button right here to release that plate. Go ahead and lift that up, pull it out, all right? And actually you can store your extra plate right in here, all right? If you didn't know that, you just store it in there. And let's go ahead and take out the bobbin case as well, and the bobbin. So this is the red dot right here, little red indicator. That's the red one for regular sewing. We're gonna go ahead and take the yellow one. And when putting this back in, we kind of wanna go at a downward angle. This little open section right here needs to be facing the back of the machine, all right? It needs to be facing north. So you're gonna be putting it this way, kind of down at an angle, all right? Another little thing I wanna mention is that the little arm right here, that little finger that's right here, it sits perfectly right at the edge of this left part of the bobbin case. You see how it kind of goes down a little bit? That arm sits there as a stopper, and you're gonna align the red marker right here with this yellow arrow here to make sure that you're in the perfect position, all right? So kind of down at an angle a little bit. It's going to snap right into place. And I give it what I call the wiggle test. I give it a little left to right, make sure that it's properly laid in. Those arrows are meeting with one another. That little metal finger is in place. And if I wiggle it left to right, it's secured in position, all right? So that's how we put that back in. We're gonna grab our straight stitch needle plate. Remember those 3 individual holes. And I'm just going to take the 2 little teeth on the left side, kind of also taking this in at an angle, and I'm positioning that part of the plate in first. You'll notice right here there's a little bullseye. That's where you're gonna use all your pressure to snap it into position. All right, give it a nice little press on that little bullseye. All right, so there's that. Now we're gonna put the P foot on. So go ahead and take your T-screw, unscrew the ankle, all right, and take this off to the side. And we're gonna take that P foot, this little guy right here, and it's just gonna take the place of that ankle, and it's just gonna get screwed in, so you might have to unloosen a little bit more, tighten it up, and then when you can't tighten it up anymore, go in with your T-screw and give it a nice little secure screw in there, okay, last little screw. So now we're set up for that. Let's go ahead and attach the embroidery unit. It is very, very important to remember the embroidery unit needs to get attached to your machine while it is off, okay? So make sure your machine is completely off while we're doing this process. So as you can see, mine is off. I'm gonna take you at a different angle here to just kind of demonstrate how to put this embroidery component on. So we're at the back side of the machine. Make sure that there is sometimes a little plastic cover that's right here so that you can cover this area. I would highly encourage you to do that when you don't have the embroidery unit on. I did want to mention to you guys, if you are traveling around with this machine, it is crucial to remember to not travel with the embroidery unit on. You always want to detach the embroidery unit when traveling and moving the machine around. That is very, very important because this is not securely in there. So if you are moving around, make sure you take it off, all right? So we're gonna take the embroidery unit, and this is the arm right here. Okay, you wanna make sure that the arm is facing north, so facing away from you. And then you'll see this part that latches onto the machine. That's what should be facing you. You want to kind of put the arm about, let me show you right here. So this little latch that's right here, that latch needs to latch onto this part of the machine first. So you're going to put it as far to the left as you can for it to kind of snap into position. Once it's latched on, you just keep going and you fasten it right into place. Okay, so right here on the right hand side, there is a little press right here. I'm gonna press down on that, and that's gonna open the embroidery arm for me. And I'm just going to take this and pop it open. And now that I have this in position, this is not going anywhere. It's right where it needs to be. You'll hear it all the way slide in. You want to make sure that the left part of the arm is parallel to the machine. That's how you know it's securely in. You're going to turn it back. You're going to go back to your machine, turn the machine on, and we'll switch it over to the embroidery component. One more little thing I want to show you guys is right here, there's these little kind of like wheels that you can turn to help keep this back component level. Obviously, for something so detailed like embroidery, you want to make sure that everything is nice and level before you start. So if you feel the need to, feel this little wobble or that it's not nice and straight to the table, you can, adjust these little wheels right here to just kind of level.
Also, one thing to note is if you see the screen is flashing a little bit, it's just because of the camera. It just kind of picks this up like this on all the cameras we use. So I have to kind of zoom in for it to stop. As you can see, it kind of just stopped there. Still has a little bit of flash, so bear with us. When we're filming the screen, we'll make sure to be zoomed in like this. But when we zoom out, try to just ignore the flashing screen, okay? Thank you.
Okay, so let's turn our machine back on. Okie dokie. So now you'll notice on the machine, fun little tip, whenever you're changing out your plates, your machine is super smart and it knows that the straight stitch plate is on there. So it's only showing you what you can do with the straight stitch plate. This little button right here is your conversion button. So from regular sewing to embroidery or vice versa. So I'm gonna click this button and it's gonna say switching to embroidery mode. Make sure your hands are clear and the carriage will now move into position. So it's really important to make sure you attach this component while the machine is off and go ahead and open that arm so it can move into position. Once you've kind of checked that off all on your list, go ahead and press OK. See that arm moving? It's aligning itself into position. It says it's gonna ask me if I want to resume my last pattern. I'm just gonna press no for right now. And we're ready to start. So once you have that in position, now you can pull up whatever embroidery design you'd like. Let's just talk really quickly about the threading situation. Threading stays exactly the same from regular sewing to embroidery. So we did do a video for you guys on how to thread and wind the bobbin on this machine. So if you are stuck on that at all, make sure you refer to that video. We'll put that in the description below for you guys, but that all stays the same. Nothing changes as far as that element goes, okay? So at this point, whatever you're trying to embroider, you can decide if you want to bring in a design from online. Remember, you have 3 different ways to get embroidery designs onto your machine. 1 being the Wi-Fi option, 2 being the USB option, and 3 being the direct plug-in, meaning from the machine to the computer. So for the sake of this video, I'm just going to pull something up that's built into this machine. So I'm going to click one of the Anna Maria Horner designs because they are absolutely beautiful. I'm going to stick with the little butterfly that's in here. So once I select that design, it's going to indicate me to make sure I keep everything clear. It's very important to remember to keep the back area free. Okay, so this embroidery arm is moving. It's moving forward, it's moving backward, it's moving all the time during your embroidery. So you want to make sure that this back area is as clear as possible and that nothing can hit the embroidery arm, because that's just going to cause a domino effect of issues. Once you have your design pulled up, it's going to let you know, hey, make sure you're working with the square 14A hoop, which is luckily what I have to pick here today. So this is the square 14A hoop, and if you never know what hoop this is, it says it right here. It's kind of engraved. Sometimes I recommend customers writing it with Sharpie if you can't really see that very well. But once I have that hoop, I'm going to press OK. I'm gonna go grab some fabric really quick to show you guys how to properly hoop in some fabric and some stabilizer, and how you would put this onto the machine to start your embroidery. So we grabbed our hoop, and I'm grabbing just some regular cotton fabric and some embroidery stabilizer here. So this is how you're gonna hoop this. So if you pay attention on the hoop, you'll see that you have half indicators here, like the halfway points of the hoop. These are very, very nice when you are trying to do something very precise. Let's say you're trying to get in the middle of something, right in that position. You would use these to kind of help you stay straight. In this instance, it's just kind of flexible. I don't really need to pay attention to anything. I'm just going to get it all hooped in. So right here on the bottom, you have your screw. You just kind of loosen that up. So lefty loosey, slide this part out. And then I just want to make sure my hoop is nice and flat, okay? And I'm gonna go ahead and take my two together. You can either put them together like this, or you can do the floating method. If you don't know what the floating method is, I'll have to do a tutorial on that one day, but we won't elaborate on that quite today. So I'm gonna grab my hoop, and you wanna make sure that the flat side is on the top, because that's how it's gonna hoop in the best, and that the curved side is on the bottom, because if you try to do it the other way, it's not gonna hoop in. So you wanna make sure you loosen this up enough so it snaps into position. Depending on how thick your fabrics are, it might be a little harder on some, or not as hard on others. So just give that a nice little press in. All right, you can lift it and make sure that everything is positioned correctly and nice and tight. All right, so I'm just gonna give this a nice little righty-tighty. And I'm just gonna pull my fabric just a little bit here to make sure make sure everything's straight and aligned. You might not wanna do that if you're working with stretchy fabrics, because you don't wanna stretch out the fibers. But for this instance, I just wanna make sure everything is hooped nice and tight. I have a good little grip here on this fabric. It's not too tight. And also just keep in mind that how dense your embroidery designs are. If you're doing something very dense, you might not want to hoop it very, very tight. But I have this and I'm happy with this. So now we're gonna attach the hoop onto the machine. So right here is where the hoops latch on. So if you notice on the back side of the hoop right here, you have this little unlock and lock right here. You'll see a little indicator on the hoop itself. Every hoop will have this little guy on there. If you flip it around, you're gonna see this little bar with a circle. That bar and circle is going to line up with the same bar and circle kind of cut out on the actual embroidery hoop itself. So you're gonna make sure that it's in the unlock position, making sure that it's going this way, up and down, all right? Then you're gonna slide it onto the machine very carefully, and you're going to align it up with that little cutout so it sinks right in. And then once it's in position, you're going to go ahead and lock it. Okay, so lock it into place. It won't let you lock it if it's not in the right spot, so I'm just trying to make sure. Again, I kind of get a little eye level here so I can really see it, and then I lock it into place. So now I'm ready to start my embroidery. So I am going to do a quick little edit on this design, since this design does have quite a few colors here. I just want to do it in one color for the sake of the video today. So all I'm going to do is go into my home screen, my little home icon, click the grid. All the editing happens in the grid. And then in the overview on this video, on this machine, I did kind of talk about some of those adjustments, but and the options that you have in this editing screen. But I am going to make this design that has all these components just stitch out in one color, and that's with this icon right here, the colorful flower pointing to the one colored flower. So that's gonna say, hey, I'm gonna sew all these layers without stopping to change the color. I'm okay with that. That's exactly what I want. Anytime you go back into the sew out screen, it's always going to show you what hoop needs to be on there. So the square 14, we're going to press OK, and the design is all in one color right now. It's really hard to see here. A couple things to note up here. It's always going to show you once again what hoop needs to be on. That it's going to take about 9 minutes to do this design at a speed of 800 stitches per minute. If you want to adjust the speed that it's going, you can simply do it with this little slider up here. Notice how it changed to 700. If I put it down to 600, it'll change. For the sake of this stitch out, since it's a very delicate and light one, I'm just going to go full speed ahead and watch it stitch out. So before we start, we're going to make sure our presser foot is down, and we're going to press start. And And oh, it's letting me know that my bobbin thread is running really low, so I might not have enough to finish this project, which is really cool to know that this machine does have a bobbin sensor. But I know I'll have enough just for a little stitch out here, so I'm just going to disregard that, and I'm just going to start. Yeah, so let's go ahead and start the sew out. Make sure your presser foot is down. Start. The machine's going to move into position. It's going to start. And this is the fun part, just getting to watch it sew. Remember, I made the machine do the entire design in one color. So it's going to do the components without stopping. It does have an automatic thread cut between jumps, so you don't have to go in and cut any thread. The machine's gonna do that between its jumps, all right? And right now on the machine, I have a size 90-14 needle. 90-14 should kind of be like your default needle for embroidery, depending, of course, what you're working with. But most of the time, a 90-14 is gonna be the safe way to go. You can work with a thicker needle if you have thicker materials, and you can work with lighter needles if you're working with something very fine, or if you're working with metallic threads. If you guys are confused about needles, we do have a really nice video on needles as well, kind of going over them, what they all do. We can link that in the description for you guys. You can refer to that at any time. But now let's just admire the stitch out. Alright, so it's just about finished. We got just a couple more stitches to go. There's about a minute left. Such a pretty little butterfly. Would be really cute to add to any quilt, any baby blanket. You could easily just do like pillows, like decorative pillows, and embroider a sweet design like this, and boom, you have yourself a new pillow cover. So it's almost done. When the machine is done, it'll cut, of course, the thread for you, and it'll move back into its home position, and a little message will pop up. And you'll see that here in just a second. We got about 60 stitches to go. We're almost done. It's just doing those final little touches. And look how great that is. I have not trimmed any threads. I've done nothing. It's done it all for me. It's looking nice and crisp. Very nice contrast on this pink. It's so pretty. Comment down below if you guys have tried any freestanding lace. You see? It just cut that thread for me, and it moved back into its home position, and we're all done. When the machine is done with its cycle, it'll go back to stitch count 0 right here. You see how it says 0? Sorry about the flashing screen, you guys. We're gonna try to make it a little better here for you, but you see how right here it says stitch 0? That means that it's finished its cycle. If I wanna do it again, I definitely can, but I'm gonna go ahead and unhoop the embroidery hoop off the arm. So I'm just gonna unlock it, all right? I'm gonna raise up that presser foot, which it already did for me. And I'm gonna take the design out, and voila! Look how beautiful it turned out. Oh my goodness, it looks so nice. Turned out great. Let's check our tension on the back. I did use a gray on the back, so right now it's kind of hard to see the ratio here, but everything is looking good. I have no complaints. Really nice and clean, and now I could use this and cut it out into another project, and it looks so beautiful. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video here today. This is just a overview on how to get the machine started. There's still so many things that can get addressed in embroidery, especially it gets very technical, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video here today, and it makes you feel a little bit more confident in setting up your Skyline 9 for the embroidery. It's really easy, and I hope to do some more videos pertaining this. If you guys have any ideas or anything you want to see on the Skyline 9, feel free to drop it down below. I love seeing what you guys want to do and what you want to learn, and I can definitely show you. Since I personally have this machine, I have an extra soft spot for it. So thank you guys so much. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. Give this video a like if you enjoyed this beautiful butterfly stitch out, and make sure you subscribe since we are posting new content every week on Sunday. So I hope to see you guys in the comments, and thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or are interested in purchasing this machine, you can always go to Janome Junkies to read a little bit more about it. We do sell our threads on there, see the accessories, but you can always give us a call at 813-661-9000 for any help or advice that you need, or you can send us an email at sewingmachines411@gmail.com for some advice to see if this is the perfect machine for you. All right, thank you guys so much and have a great day.